Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Welcome to the final grain market blast of the week. It's finally Friday. What a year this week has been. As usual, the awesome Angie Setzer will be providing a rapid roundup of the latest pricing flows and market moving using agricultural markets. But before she does, I get the legals out the way, or else I get into trouble. So as usual, nothing discussed in this space is taken constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ or indeed that of the hosts, which, as you know by now, is myself, Mr. Ryan Paisley, and the fabulous Mrs. Angie Setzer. Hello, Angie, and happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you. I think instead of fabulous today, I'm going to be fergalicious.
Oh, I like it. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan.
I think so. I think it's the best. Actually, I
You
saw a
you you
TikTok
do
this.
you. You do you. Whatever you want.
I saw a TikTok this morning where they're like, "In this economy, fergalicious? No way." So that's been stuck in my head for the rest of it. I had to steal their joke. Happy Friday, indeed.
Happy Friday.
You're like, it's finally Friday, and I'm kind of stuck in this sort of purgatory of how the heck is it Friday, and why the heck did it take so long for Friday to get here? So,
Yeah, right. How
good
many
news.
Fridays have we had this week?
I know it feels like a lot of Mondays actually, but
Oh yeah,
hey, here
true,
we are.
true.
Market wise here, obviously, first things first. Everyone's looking at soybeans and being like, "Oh God, what's happened?" And yeah, China came back overnight, basically. To heck with the holiday. They're on holiday right now. Their markets are closed. But they said, "Yeah, you guys are going to charge us 34%. We're going to put the reciprocal and reciprocal and charge you an additional 34% as well." And
Yeah.
so basically what that does is it bumps up like corn and a handful of other things. There was like corn, wheat, pork, chicken, I think was part of the 15% tariff initially. So now you're looking at corn with a 49%er. And beans were 10% initially. So now you've got beans at like 44% for those of you that struggle to do math. I enjoy doing math, that all it takes is me taking my shoes off. And so that one was easy. And so everyone's freaking out, and I saw something earlier, and it was far more eloquent of a way to put it than what I could, but it basically said sometimes it's necessary for madness to be unleashed so logic and common
Yeah.
sense can later prevail, right? And
Exactly
so
that.
I was
Exactly
like,
that.
that is very literary and beautiful and true, because I was basically like, we've got to, like Pibble humping your leg. You just got to let it finish. Not as nice, right?
God.
And so here we are. And that's where we're at right now. Like, we're just basically at a point where we're going to get reaction. We're going to get this sort of, oh my gosh, this is terrible. But one of the things that I mentioned this morning in my comments was that if we're going to have a time, for us to have a trade war with China, right now is probably the best time from an agricultural import standpoint. China has just under 600,000 metric tons of beans left to ship out of the U.S. on the books. They've got no corn. I mean, I say no corn. It's like 10,000 metric ton or something like that. Like, it's hardly anything to speak of, hardly any wheat and a tiny bit of sorghum. So really, we weren't expecting China to come in and buy a bunch of our grain and all of that as it stands currently anyway. And so, we've got the next 5 months to kind of work this out. To me, it's not something that we necessarily have to panic over, but obviously it's not the most ideal. But again, we need to have this. I would rather see China come back and be like 34%, 50%, 60%, whatever. Let's just completely destroy this, because then we have no choice but to come to the table and negotiate. And that's been part of the problem that we've had so far, I feel like, is that we just haven't seen public real interaction between not only Xi and Trump, but just Trump's administration and anyone from China. So we need to watch that, pay attention. I would lean towards the market. Obviously, it hadn't priced in the entirety of a loss of China business or a response like we would see today, because we're down 23 this morning. But in the end, if we've all been anticipating that China isn't going to buy any beans, why is this surprising if they say they aren't going to? I mean, if anything, the uncertainty or the surprise to the market will be if we create some sort of agreement, which it may not happen, but I'm going to guess at this rate, it's going to happen a lot quicker than what we saw at first go around. The European Union's also one that we're
Yeah.
watching that we have to pay attention to. They're talking about rolling back some of their green initiatives, and that had been one of the things that I myself had even said all along was kind of like, oh, well, it's not that big a deal if we get into a battle with China because trade war with China again, because the EU has these deforestation regulations and we're looking at picking up some business. Well, guess what, Ange? That's probably not going to be the
Yeah.
case. And so here
Not
we sit.
anymore.
Yeah, right. Like, great thinking, silly. But so we're going to look and see, what is it that they're going to do on Monday. You've seen like France and Germany both come out and kind of be like, let's target the tech industry, let's limit some of this intellectual property sharing. Let's see what we can do in a different way. So it may not be food or energy or anything like that that they tackle, but we'll see, what the week brings. President Trump has said that he wants to negotiate as long as these people come to them with something, quote, phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, and I'm sure like Israel's like, bro, we took all of our tariffs off on Monday
Yeah.
and you
What else
still
can we
charged us
do?
17%. Like, we can't do negative tariffs, man. And Trump's like, but can you? Are you
Yeah.
sure?
Right.
I feel like you can. And so that's really where we're at right now. It's just we're still kind of hung over from the announcement on Wednesday. A lot of folks are kind of like, hey, this was worse than we expected. I did see a note out of Goldman that was like, actually, if you do this, and carry the one, it's not quite as bad. And I was like, well, that's cute. I love to see another eternal optimist out in the world because we don't have them very often. But yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's just, I feel like this is, and that was one thing that President Trump had said yesterday. These tariffs have given him great power to negotiate. I'm going to choose to believe that that is what we're still working to do. And so, yes, let's see what happens here over the next few days. And kind of watch and
Yeah.
learn.
No,
Um,
definitely.
Cash trade is basically stopped. Like, that's one of the things that we've seen. Like, one of the problems that you have is that every farmer around the world is like, oh, the US is not going to be, competing, or the US just got more expensive. Well, it looks like our stuff just got more expensive. You saw yesterday morning, Brazil bean basis jumped 40 cents from the afternoon prior to the start of the day. It did back off. I think it finished, Eduardo said, up like 15 to 20 cents versus the day prior. But the fact of the matter is if everyone around the world is looking at this and recognizing that rising tide raises all ships, except for the
Yeah.
US, who's, cutting their nose off to spite their face on the export side, at least that's the narrative, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
and so they're saying, hey, my stuff's more expensive. Like, there just became less supply in the world, how we see it. And so that's what you're seeing. Like, your farmer selling is basically stopped. You've got some currency things. The volatility in the US dollar is also creating volatility elsewhere, keeping
Yep.
farmers in Brazil and Argentina from really aggressively selling. And so from a cash trade standpoint, we're all just kind of like, it's the two Spider-Man memes. Like, we're just staring
Yeah.
at each
Pointing at
other
each
and
other.
staring.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're waiting until the 17th of April. It looks like the US Trade Representative is going to come out in about 2 weeks' time, to let us know, or just under 2 weeks' time to let us know what their plan is there. What's been kind of interesting is that we're just getting more and more opposition. Today, you had some members of the shipping industry, I think, come out, shipping or port, or maybe both, and kind of say, hey, like, if you wanted to create something that would be even worse from an economic disaster sort of standpoint than like COVID, cool, let's do it. This is the port thing, and so I feel like most everyone's kind of right. Hopefully, and that's been part of the problem too. In the conversation's been, well, if Trump will do this with tariffs on China, and everyone else, he's obviously going to
Yeah.
go through with the port thing no matter what. We don't know. There could be exemptions. There's certain industries that can handle it better than others, obviously. And so that's going to be another 2 weeks of waiting, seeing, hoping, whatever.
Yeah.
We had Paul speaking today. We did see the job report this morning was better than expected. So that was good news. Did you see that the government's actually growing, not shrinking? Did you see
Uh,
that?
yeah, I did see that, and it was like, hang on, this doesn't add up to all
I
these
was
headlines and all these
like,
tweets we're seeing. But yeah,
I was like,
uh,
one of these things is not like the other. But we
yeah,
also, as someone who gets USDA data, let me see if Seth's listening. Seth, if you're listening, plug your ears. We're used to government data being a little funky. So I guess whatevs. But yeah, we did see that. That's why the dollar bounced back a little bit here this morning. But overall, crude's eating really, it's not great. Crude's not doing well.
No.
Not looking
Well, it
good.
is obviously because obviously OPEC came out yesterday.
Yes.
I'm doing air quotes again. Operation market share. They're like, well, you know what? We might as well try and get as much market share as possible if the US is going to be playing
They're like,
around like
how do
this.
you say drill baby drill in Arabic? Is that
Yeah.
offensive or not? I hope
Oh well, I'm
not.
not
If
going
it
to attempt
is,
it. So
please, please. Yeah, I don't even have an idea. I'll put it into Chat GPT later, maybe. But it's one of those things where, yeah, OPEC Plus was like, hey, you want to increase production? Like they are very cognizant of how much it costs
yeah,
the U.S. oil producer to produce oil.
exactly.
And so they want to put like they're happy with this. Fine, push it down. We're $50, you're 70. I guess we'll go to 60,
This is it. This is exactly what they're doing.
and
I've seen some people going, "Oh, what they're doing? They've collapsed the price. This is really bad for OPEC nations." No, it's not because all they're looking to achieve is get market share and really, whilst the US producers are under the cosh already because of what's just happened with tariffs and all this, it's another kick them while they're down kind of philosophy.
yes, and their margins are increasing. If you read that energy survey from the
Yeah,
Dallas Fed last month, you know what I mean? Like their costs are increasing, their margins are shrinking, you know what I mean? Like you're already looking at a lot of industries out there that are charging increased fees because of replacement costs and the knowledge that the tariffs are going to
yeah,
cost them more. You saw that what this is CFTC was it someone came out yesterday? It was like, don't raise costs expecting honey, if you have ever been in any sort of physical product world, you know what I mean? Like if you know that your replacement cost is going to go up, you start raising that. You have no
yeah. Of course you
choice.
do.
You have to.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm sorry. Like I know that we love to live in this sort of fantasy world where it's like, oh, well, it just gets absorbed. It doesn't. It's an increased cost. It does get
Wake up.
absorbed, but it gets absorbed by, like it. Ugh, anyway, so here, that's where we stand now. I still remain optimistic and steadfast in my optimism. Sometimes it's hard to be the happy little penguin in a burning room of
Well, no,
funness.
but careful because obviously even the penguins on that remote
I will
island have
pay
got
my
tariffs.
10%. Did you see the one,
Yeah,
the meme with the penguin with the sword? Like there was
yeah,
no, oh, I love memes that are good like that. They make me laugh. So yeah, we'll see. I just, the biggest thing I'm going to say to the farmers out there right now, like, keep your head up. I think President Trump posted this morning, you need to hank tough. And it goes right there with the hamburgers, which I love.
yeah,
I love it. I love it because it's always like one of those things where you're like, this is a perfect tweet, send. And then you're like, oh, there's a
yeah,
typo.
yeah,
You
exactly
put the
that.
wrong form of two in there, and now everyone thinks you're dumb. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll just see. The markets are down today, but I think, like I said before, the messier it gets, the quicker we're likely to see a resolution. And that's what
Yes.
I'm going to kind of hold steadfast to. Also, it's Friday, and the markets can't hurt us for 48 hours after we leave today. So just kind of revel in that fact
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
Take a breather. I
happy
think one
Friday.
I think one thing, just in terms of the uncertainty and stuff, one thing to keep an eye on is even like we're seeing like the street now, just on their kind of expectations for the Fed. We've now got like two camps on the street with this like the institutions and that. Some saying they're going to have the Fed are going to have to cut. Some saying they can't cut because of the inflation thing. So obviously now for once it's not like 99% certain what the Fed's going to do next. Obviously the next meeting being in May. So I think there's going to be a lot of jitters in the market because if we have got these two opposing views, one of them's going to be wrong. So we're going to see we should see some volatility in the short end of the yield curve and stuff like that as we kind of know more. So I think, and obviously that will then feed through into the risk assets and commodities and stuff. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about over the next
Right. You
well
must have
10 years.
seen, yeah, you must have seen in my draft folder this morning. I have the gif of the guy with the chair, the fold, the one that he folds it out and he goes to sit down or whatever, like the really kind of, anyway, I'll have to show you like, but I was like inflation coming back into the conversation, because you've got all of these stimulus packages, you've got with Germany changing the way they're looking at debt, you've got all of
Yeah.
this stuff. Like, I almost feel like we're reliving COVID, but this time instead of like, it's just a different five-letter word. Is tariff?
Yeah.
No, tariff six. Sorry. That'd have been real cool if that had fit
Oh
spelling
God.
wise, but
Close. Hang on.
yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm still trying to count the letters in COVID, to be honest.
right. I was like, wait, what is it? But yeah, so it's just one of those things where like it feels COVID-esque to me. Just in the sense that things get really crazy, people throw money at it, the world
Yeah.
is ending, and then all of a sudden in 4 or 5 months' time, we're gonna be like, oh wow, maybe we overreacted.
Yeah. No,
But
absolutely.
I guess we'll see. Time will tell.
Exactly,
But at
exactly,
least,
and this is
go
why
ahead.
people got to cut. This is why people got to keep tuning in every day to find out what's going on.
It fits. It's nice. I like that. That was a good
Yeah.
transition there.
Did you see that? Did you see that?
It's beautiful. It's like we're professionals over here.
Seamless,
So yeah,
seamless.
happy Friday though. So yeah, to
Yeah,
everyone out there, happy Friday. We'll see what the weekend brings. We'll be back Monday morning with tons of news, I am sure. And yeah, those of
absolutely.
you facing bad weather again, be safe and hopefully
Yeah,
everyone's able to make it through the weekend okay. And yeah, don't
yeah,
worry about the things you can't control. Shut it off when you
exactly
can,
that.
and let me know if you guys need
Exactly
anything.
that. Angie, thank you so much for just being your awesome self. You're the highlight of my day. I don't know about anyone else, but listeners as well, thank you for tuning in. Our regular ones in particular, we really do appreciate you. As Angie said, stay safe this weekend. Have fun if you can. If you are in the markets, keep it tight, and we will see you on Monday.
We'll see you
Goodbye.
Monday. Have a good one, guys.